This clip is brought to you by the legendary Tasty Pastry. 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of net carbs, and 0 sugar. Better than any protein bar out there. Tastes amazing. Enjoy this clip.
What's the deal with factory farming? We hear a lot about that. Do you know much about that?
I know heaps about it. What do you want to know?
Well, I just don't know much about it. Because there seems to be a lot of regulations, especially here in the United States. Are there practices that are still, just foul and just way outside of what their regulations should be, I guess?
So everything usually works within the regulations. It's mainly more that there's a distaste for people about what just happens when you produce anything on a scale like that. The other concern for some people is that there's 4 main companies that control the industry, and I'm not going to try and pretend that there's not some issues with pricing and that they've had to watch them controlling supply and demand and things like that. But I think where people really get stuck is the idea that there's these factories, like, Simpsons did a great, great version of it, where the animals go in and get treated just like, a commodity and shipped out. So first of all, every cow or steer in America is born on a ranch and is born onto grass. If it's a beef cow, it'll spend some time with its mama and then go to grass and then go to a feedlot. So nothing is born on concrete and done that way. The other thing is, and I didn't know this because I grew up in Melbourne, 5 million people, urban as fuck, did not have any agriculture classes. So there's a thing going on in California at the moment called Prop 12, where they're trying to ban the import of any pork from other states that use what we call sow stalls, right? And it's one of those things that's just not that simple. If you are a farmer or you've ever raised pigs, you'll know the very first thing that a mother pig will do if you leave it alone with his babies is sit on them and potentially kill them. They have really weird maternal instincts. So they keep them in these sow stalls in these confined areas for the safety of the mothers and the babies. And there's some stuff that they have to do to animals that is just because it is on that scale, which is probably a little less palatable. But there's other stuff like that gets completely lost in translation in terms of what's actually going to be better. There's been a lot of work done into animal welfare to try and increase. Anthony Bourdain said it once in one of his books that there's a direct correlation between animal welfare and good quality meat. And so if you want good quality meat, you effectively have to look after the animal. And so they really work in tandem. And the industry has been trying to do a lot for that. I've been in processing plants. I've been on slaughter floors. I've seen dodgy as shit in small areas. I support the entire industry as a whole. I hate the narrative that knowing where your meat comes from makes a difference. I think it's a scare tactic for people, honestly. Meaning if you buy from the guy locally at the farmer's market, well, I've seen... Yeah,
know your local farmer. I always think that's bullshit too.
Why doesn't a farmer in Vermont earn your dollars as much as a farmer in California? They both came from farmers originally, and someone is working hard to make those dollars in America either way. So.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why I brought it up. I mean, again, I'm sure there's plenty of practices that are outside the lines, but there are a lot of regulations, and it really wouldn't suit you well to mistreat the animals because it wouldn't be good quality meat, and eventually I'm sure your farm would probably get shut down if that was the case. And I haven't personally visited a slaughterhouse. I haven't personally been behind the scenes, but just in driving by and seeing cows and just observing them for long periods of time, they're herd animals, they hang out on top of each other.
100%.
And people are I don't like that they're so close to each other. You'll go and look at a field. The field will be gigantic and all the cows are literally on top of each other. They're choosing that. They're not in a cage,
Yeah, yeah. They're all huddled in the one area. That's what's natural to them. And that's why it's actually more humane to keep them all together at the slaughterhouse, right before they go up into the ramp. They've learned with pigs that they've designed the chutes to be curved, and they'll paint the sides of them red because it calms the pig in the peripheral vision. If they can't see where they're going, the animal's much calmer. So they've changed a lot of those practices to keep the animal as calm as possible right up until slaughter. And the slaughter process itself, You know, I'm a hunter. I'm a rifle hunter. My number one aim is to drop that animal as quickly as possible. I personally, this is just my opinion, think that I've seen more inhumane bow hunting from people who are like, I want to get back to what it was like back in the day. It's like, yeah, but the animal's running. I promise you that pig, that sheep, that steer is not running in a slaughterhouse. It is over like that, you know?
Right.
So we've got to consider that as well.
How does it get killed?
So they have so for beef, they have what they call a captive bolt.
It just goes right into the brain or something, right?
Yeah. So it renders them. It's a big bolt that shoots out. I love
Here,
this.
I'll show you exactly how it's done. Mark.
The funny thing is that some of this is true. Like the sluicing, the collecting of the blood in a giant sluice, that's true.
Oh my God.
So the bolt goes, it cracks their skull and goes into their brain and it renders them unconscious. And then they are shackled by their hind leg, lifted up, and they're bled out. And it's actually the exsanguination that kills them, but they're non-responsive at this point. But that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand. Like, you know, if you don't understand what brain dead is, but the body's still alive, then you're not going to really understand why that's a completely humane practice.
Right.
With pigs, they usually gas them. They used to use electrodes on their heads. They now just lower them into gas, and it's much more humane too.
Yeah, none of it's ever going to sound good, but it's like, how do we get our food?
Yeah. Do you know
Our
how
food
many
supply.
animals die from crop machines? That's why no food is vegan. Because you couldn't actually, like the amount of field mice and things like
squirrels and
that.
shit like that, yeah.
That and most of the time, the best arguments the vegan can make is that is the sentience of those animals different to a larger animal, and it's ridiculous.
Why don't they gas cows? Might sound dumb, but I'm like, they gas pigs, but why don't they gas cows?
They're too big, and they don't
okay.
need to. The pigs are much more aware. They are and much more squirrely. Cows will just move in front of the next one in front of them. So they're safer to do with captive bolt.
Okay. Hey guys, if you like this clip, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what you liked about it. All right. Share this with a friend. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And also, we are on Reddit and Discord. All that's down below. All our sponsors and everyone that supports us down below there too. So you can get whatever you like from us. All right. Peace.